Welcome to Writer Therapy, a space for serious writers to talk openly about creativity, workflow, balance, and everything in between. Join us for casual conversations about craft, the writing life, and why we keep coming back to the page. No matter where you are in your writing, you're welcome here. This is Writer Therapy. Today we're speaking with Daniel Andrews, author of the international bestseller Tears Behind the Smile, where Daniel shares his personal experiences with anxiety and panic attacks to remind those who struggle that they are not alone. He is also a musician and actor based in England.
Tell me everything about the book.
Okay, so the book is written by literally, so it started off as a diary. I suffer badly with anxiety, panic attacks, and all the good stuff that comes with it. And it started off as a diary, as I say. So I started writing down, X, Y, and Z. And it was very much just for my own personal sort of, get this out, let it go. And that's the end of it. But what happened was basically, it was one of them ones. I was in a kitchen with a friend of mine, and he's like, well, why don't you just turn it into a book? Like everything else that you've done, like, do you know what I mean? I mean, I've worked with some very, influential people. I've done big television shows, interviews, and all this cool stuff. I was like, oh, do you know what? Sod it. I'll just send it to a publisher's. So I sent it to a publisher. It was a small publishing company, and it was more of a hybrid offer that they sent me, which is fine. It's new age, and we're in 2026 now, and I get it. But when that happened, I was like,
what's that? Like, consider me an amateur in the field. So what's hybrid?
So hybrid is very much. So there's different avenues to it, okay? And please don't quote me on this. It's only from what I've learned. So a hybrid contract may very much be, they offer, so the publishing company will offer to push your book out to, all of the platforms, Barnes and Noble, Waterstones, Amazon, etc., etc., etc. And they'll edit it. They'll do everything a traditional publishing deal will do, but they do it for a fee. Okay. And they still take a percentage of the fee, because obviously they're still pushing it out and they're being paid because you're the underdog. They don't know like if it's going to sell, etc. So anyway, that was the first instance. So with that spark, I was like, wow, okay, someone's obviously interested. So I then came away, and that's when I then got into filming. I was offered an opportunity with a very good friend of mine to be in film, and I was telling him about the score, and he's like, yo, that could be turned into like a film idea. So I was like, wow, okay. So I've gone from literally like the idea of just trying to write down how I'm feeling with all this craziness going on in my head to now standing in the kitchen to having a joke of pushing it as a book to that now a possible opportunity of professionals being interested to now a film. So it's like, do you know what? Sod it. And now the script is written. And then, I self-published, which had a great response. Quite a few people bought the book. Just off the back of my music following, I guess. And then to then fast forward to now, obviously, now we're properly published and all good. It's
so
great.
What's like the hierarchy in your career, would you say, right now? Like, so is it the music is sort of standing in front, and then like what's sort of standing in front is in terms of your priority, and then maybe like how you're being seen or how you're making money and things like that?
I literally got asked the same question just the other day by a very good friend of mine. And so with my reply to that as well, it's very much, so as Tears, right? This is going to sound crazy. I'm a brand, right? So this is the way that I see myself. I'm a brand. So with regards to, is music in front? No. Is the book in front? No. Is my filming opportunities or being on television in front? No. Is the opportunity of being in magazines in America, newspapers in bloody London? No, none of that is in front. The way that I very much see it is very much everything is together. So at the moment, bestseller. That's fine. Fantastic. Like I sold quite a few copies, obviously in America, sold a good few copies in obviously England, London. It's very much like who I am, like as a person, like, I've got the book, I've got the music, I'm going to be collaborating with a very big name in London very shortly. So there's nothing that's sort of setting one thing apart. It's very much, I'm moving forwards with it all. One day this can be up, and then the next, this can be down, but then the day after can be up, and then this can be down. So I'm kind of just concentrating on moving forwards with the whole thing, pushing the whole thing until something sort of I like to say, pushes me over the edge. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Like to
right.
the next level. And the conversations that I'm having are very positive. Very stressful at the same time, you know, to those that will see the video and understand. But yeah, it's just there's nothing, you know, I can't suggest that I'm an author in
Yeah.
the first instance. I can't suggest that I'm a rapper in the first instance, or singer or an actor. It's a brand, it's a business, and I'm moving forwards with the whole thing. And it's quite exciting. It's quite scary to say like that, really, isn't it?
I mean, I imagine that's going on for a lot of authors where, like, I own a videography photography business, right? And the
Mm.
truth is, I have to. I mean, that pays the bills. I have to run that full time. I can't.
Mm.
You know, there's nothing without that. But yeah, my whole psyche is in my writing. But I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm sure all authors have that kind of thing, and then it ends up branching out into, you do podcasts, you do, wherever your personality will bring you.
Well, this is it. I mean, I was very fortunate the other day. Someone reached out to me because she was basically being screwed over by an editorial company, hybrid,
Yeah.
publishing, blah, blah, blah. She paid something silly like the best part of £4,000,
Oh wow.
and nothing had been done. Now, she reached out to me, and then literally everything was done within 2 days. Easy, job done. And, I mean, she offered to pay me. She said, what would this cost? And I said, well, I guess on the lower end, like I gave her an amount, and, as a joke, basically. And she kindly just deposited the money. So with regards to obviously things, like you say, like obviously you never know where things can go. That is an idea of mine to offer a service like that in the future. And I'm doing research and speaking to professional people in my circle about how to obviously move this forward.
So, all right. So, how do you turn a diary into, like, I was hit one day with, you have to take your writing seriously. You can't just be a hack. You can't just like write something, put it out there. You have to edit it. You have to. So how did you take your diary, which was written, I assume, like in a state of fervor? How do you turn that into a book?
So first of all, I'll go back to obviously what you just suggested, like obviously what you think or are told, or
Yeah.
what you've learned is do everything. This is the way that everything's done. First of all, I learned this from a lead singer of one of the biggest rock bands in the world. Actually, I was speaking to him, and he said straight up, forget everything that you think you know. So when it comes to performing, right, when you step on that stage, you go through your lyrics, you go through like blah, you might forget a couple of lyrics, then you start overthinking and blah, blah. Whatever is going to happen will already happen. You're in the hands of fate.
Yeah, it's true.
So first of all, a lot of things, especially when you're in the public eye, are completely out of your control. You can't please everybody. What you think is perfect to the next person is not. So let me go into this, right? So my book went from me writing down with bad spelling, bad grammar. I'm dyslexic, right? Which is crazy being a wordsmith. Do you know what I mean? To obviously earn money and stuff. Now, it's very much like that was more impactful in the sense that it was raw, honest. And when people were reading it in the first instance, the rules didn't apply as such, and this is what I've always said to people, like, if you want to do something, do it your way. Obviously, there are, in a respectful manner, respect, the professionals and take advice. But yeah, I mean, it kind of led into the idea of like, well, okay, this is my book, this is my product. There are no, punctuation marks where they're meant to be. There's no. It was literally the whole thing was terrible. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And this is one thing that I've spoken, to my publishers about, and it was only after quite a few kind hours, maybe days, even weeks, of Laquita, who owns the publishing company, saying to me, okay, cool, that's fine, but to reach the bigger audience, maybe we should edit it a little bit more and etc. And now, all of a sudden, with that professional, word, obviously we've got international bestseller. But yeah, I mean, same as my life, my music and my acting is with regards to the question of how it's gone from a diary to this, it's been very much a learning process and a lot of bollocks because
Yeah.
my story in there is very, very deep, and one that I don't I've not actually read it back, to be completely honest. So a lot of interviews that I've had, and they're like, oh, this part, and so what was happening in this part? I don't even remember that part. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
So how did you literally self-publish? Like, what was the, give me like the sort of technical end of it. Like, what did you?
so I went on to KDP,
Yeah.
Kindle, and so in the first instance, it was very much after hitting the hybrid, having the offer of the first publishing deal, if you want to call it that.
Right. Right.
I basically took that and then I went onto a couple of websites and created books myself. They were extortionate. So an individual book I was buying for something like bloody hell, about £11.
Oh wow.
Seriously, and and it was only because of the fact of having such a great support network with regards to my music and in the professional circle that people were buying them. They were buying them for like £20.
Oh,
Like, so I was
nice.
making a small amount. But the thing is, once that small amount came back, I was like, I'm not making enough. There was a point where I was like, I'm not actually making enough to now re-up. So I had to put it up to 25. People still bought them. But it was just getting to a point for me where I was like, this is crazy. And then I kind of fell off the bandwagon of it and, sort of forgot about it, I guess. And then, yeah, obviously that was for about maybe 2 years. And then I got into obviously the filming and etc. and met a couple of guys and they were saying about the whole film idea because they'd read the book.
Right.
And then I got into Channel 4 and I was chatting to a producer there and she was interested in the idea of, some sort of small series. And then yeah, fast forwarding on, obviously I met Laquita, PA Pro V in America, Georgia. And then her and I, obviously had some very kind discussions. And I just kind of, when you just sort of trust someone, she's a
Yeah.
lovely person and she's very 8-time bestseller as well. So, people with those kind of credits, you sort of take their advice on.
You initially did it where you would print the book yourself, get it shipped to you, and then sell it by almost brick and mortar. And then where are you at now? Are you selling it like through Amazon? Where do you end up?
Yeah, so where we're at the moment, so the book's been pushed on KDP, so that's Amazon, Kindle. So you can get Kindle, you can now get a paperback, and there will be a hardback available in the very near future.
Cool.
So through the publishing opportunity with PA Pro V, it's now on something called an extended release. It's called extended distribution, I think it's called, which then offers it out to the other Barnes and Noble, the Waterstone, all these bigger brands, which now, being a bestseller, opens the conversations. There's no guarantees in anything, as you know, but it opens the conversations with these companies of, okay, cool, well, we've got the international bestseller. Any chance of a book signing? I've got 2 or 3 book signings already booked around the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough industry. Same as anything that if you want to be good at anything, like I mean, I box as well, and I work with my coach is one of the best, literally in the country. He's on TV all the time and all this sort of good stuff, and it's the same as anything, is it? Like if you want to be good at something or achieve certain levels, there's always going to be roadblocks. There's always going to be this. There's always going to be that. Blah blah blah. But yeah, where it's at the moment with regards to the book, yeah, it's on extended distribution, and yeah, I'm excited for it to go to the bigger platforms. It's great.
Well, tell me about. Have you done any book signings? You have some books, but have you done any?
So I've not actually done a book signing just yet, like an official book signing.
Okay.
But and I'm not going to say his name because obviously, hopefully, this video goes out and all the rest of it, and I'm seeing what he says, right? But there is a very big actor from London. London. He's living in London, and he's been on like some of the biggest films in the country. Like literally, like this guy's a legend, and because he's supporting mental health, and I'm not sure if he's going through some things himself. I just hit on a random one last night, and I just messaged him on it because I've got the blue tick now on my Facebook and my Instagram and all this sort of cool stuff. So I think that sort of throws sort of like, oh, this guy's serious, to the people that I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
And anyway, he kindly hit me back. I was like, what? Like, yo, bro. And I was just like, yo, like, obviously, you support the mental health, and I've got this book, and I think he checked my page out as well, so he knows what I'm about, the music and all that, acting, obviously. And he's like, yo, send it straight over. So, going back to your question of like the book signing, So I literally signed my book to a celebrity last night, and it got posted this morning to him. With regards to celebrity supporting as well, Jamie Foreman. So he was in a big program called EastEnders. He was on Layer Cake as well, and various other big
I
films.
remember, yeah.
And there's a photo of him holding my first like self-published copy, and for me that was just like, wow.
Wow,
I mean,
that's really nice.
like Jesus, and I've done tracks with like Prodigal Son from Wu-Tang, and
Oh wow,
and I've been around Sugar Hill Gang and all, mate.
yeah.
But yeah, these guys holding my book and actually, wanting to receive it, that was like, wow, like crazy.
So how do you manage, this brand career? What's your situation? You have a family? What's going on? Are you a single man? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, so I've got my two boys, Caelan and Archer, and my other half, Stacey. So, and like I said, it's quite a surreal situation because, they'll see me on television, for example. Do you know what I mean? No, do you know what it is, right? I am I am this person. That's it. Like I'm always always working, whether that's regards to my book or either music or being on tele. I'm always the same bloody person. There's no like, if I'm not doing music or if I'm not doing filming, if I'm not doing my book, I'm always talking about it. I mean, I manage everything that I do. Like I have no management. I have no, sort of big record deal stuff going on, or I'm not signed anymore to any record label.
So in terms of writing, do you have like a ritual you do, when you're about to sit down, because you would initially write in your diary, right? And then
With
when you were
regards to
doing
book,
editing and stuff, would you have to dim the lights and put on some music? Like, what's your ritual for writing? Anything?
I mean, I wrote it in my book as well. There was a part where I went to a cafe, and I was doing my bit, and I knew the girls that worked in the cafe, and I'm having a cup of coffee, so I do it like that, or even on my phone, or literally I'll just be up in my studio. Like I've got a studio at home with like my medals and stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll just crack on. That's it. And I kind of feel like I'm terrible, but my down days of feeling like complete shit with anxiety and the in my head are probably the best days, because I'm just like, again, no rules apply to me. I don't care like about the rules. Like I feel like this, I'm writing it down. Like I've written like 4 or 5 tracks over the last couple of days. Do you know what I mean? Like ready to record, and there's opportunities going with the music, and I'm starting a new book as well, which is I think it's going to be called This Is Why, and it's basically explaining like this is why this is why people with anxiety go through this. This is why, like from my own experiences and speaking to not only professional people but people that also suffer. And it's going deep with neurotransmitters and all this sort of good stuff, and the GABA effect and blah blah blah. So yeah, I don't have like any set sort of routine, I guess, which I know many people sort of do. A lot of people sort of, they get the candle on, they might meditate, they might do X, Y, and Z, and that works for them. But again, it's always going back to what I was saying earlier. There's no rules, is there? There's no rule. Whatever makes you feel right, do it. Like that's it. Period. Like So yeah, I don't really have any exact like structure. I love listening to music, having a cigarette, and chilling with a beer. Do you know what I mean? Like that's it. I'm very uncouth.
What's the anxiety? Is it like, is it stuff behind the scenes, or is it more, is it work related, brand related?
It's for me personally, it's very much like, so without getting deep, right? So I box. So I'm a boxer. I train. I go to the gym. I go for like 4 mile, 5 mile runs, like sort of maybe 2-3 times a week if I can. And the reason for that is because it's like there's this fucking great shadow behind me just waiting for me to slip the fuck up and then go back to where I've been before, right? And that can come out of anywhere. Like the last few days have been fucking tough, and yeah, it can come from anywhere, like literally anything. I mean, obviously I'm very fortunate in where I'm at. I had some great music out. I've been in some great films, but it's one of them ones. So I'm always trying to stay afloat, and but on the flip side, and I actually texted because I had an opportunity that sort of passed me by, swept the fucking carpet under my feet, if I'm honest. But I was like, okay, cool, that's not happened. But without this bullshit going on of how I feel, I wouldn't have the fucking book. I wouldn't have the
It's
music.
true.
Do you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have the audacity to, message like, obviously last night, Josh or whatever, on Instagram, like, and bang, look where the fuck is that? Like, and I've not lost a fight yet. Like, and I use that energy like for my training and when I'm in the ring. So yeah, fuck it.
It's
Like,
sometimes those like pits that in desperation you end up coming up with an idea. I mean, that's how I started this. I had like 3 months dead, no business for some reason for the first quarter. It was,
mm-mm.
and so I was just kind of coming up with ideas. I'm like, well, at least this, I'd have people to talk to about writing, and you can see how all of us are sort of in a similar situation. I imagine, the guy you were chatting with last night has been in these situations too.
Yeah, many of them have, and that's where I'm very fortunate to. I mean, my mentor's mentor is Quincy Jones, and
Hmm.
and I was even chatting to a fantastic music manager, Kojo, and and he's around like the sort of celebrity people, but everyone has their shit going on.
Yeah.
But it's how you move forwards, and one of the things he said to me is like, change how you're talking, and how you're sort of thinking, because that's gonna push you forward. It's very, I guess, maybe spiritual, but it does work. Yeah, it's everyone's got different things going on. Tears behind the smile, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's true.
it's getting
I know
deep, isn't it?
it's sometimes like something bad happens, and I think it's like, yeah, well, don't we put our own characters through that in books? That's what makes the book interesting. I mean, it's like you don't have your story is interesting because you got out of it. It sounds like, and or for the most part, and
Yeah,
at
it's
least
still
at least
working,
from
still
like
working.
where you started, I imagine.
And that's the greatest thing for the book, is very much like, I mean, I'm nowhere near, like, I said to you earlier on, I'm nowhere near where I want to be.
Right.
But the greatest power about having this book that obviously people read is like when they read it, they actually connect with it. It's
Hmm.
a real honest, raw, like, this is firsthand, you know, mm, and people can relate to it. Like, even people that maybe don't suffer, it's helped them sort of understand like why their partner is in the way they do, for example, or maybe their son or their daughter, and to have that gives me power to then move forward. Like, okay, cool. And this is why obviously the book, the next book that I'm writing is called This Is Why. Well, this is why this happens, but this is how we're going to move forwards. It's all about, and I think I mentioned this in the last book. The only way you're going to move forwards is to get on that bicycle and keep pedaling.
Hmm.
Whether you've got a storm above you, and it's raining, you're just going to pedal harder to get to that sunny day. Do you know what I mean? So it's very much like to have these ideas of like, okay, cool. Well, I'm here now. I need to move here. Like, no matter how slow time feels, but the world's rushing around you, like, just move from A to B. Just do one step. Get out of bed. Like the 5 second or 15 second rule. Get out of bed within 15 seconds. Next day, do it within 10. Next day, do it within 5.
For writers out there, what advice would you give?
I would say, realistically, first of all, don't jump at the first chance of professional publishing houses, because what a lot of them will do, and I'm not speaking for all of them, it's very much like in this world, as we know, everyone has to make their money to move forwards. As an author, none of us are bloody famous. None of us are, Enid Blyton. None of us are, written the next Harry Potter, bigger than it was. So for them to take you on is a big risk. And at the end of the day, you have to respect where they're coming from as a business. But with that said, there are only a slim amount that's actually going to do what they say they're going to do. Same with, management and all this sort of stuff.
Right.
Now, secondly, I would say just write down and be honest. Literally, if there's a scene in your book where you're like, oh, I don't know if people are going to like that, or I don't know if this is going to be very PC, I think maybe people might shut it. Just write it down. It's your book, it's your project. If they don't want to read it, it's like watching television. Not everyone's going to enjoy scenes that they see on television because it might make them upset. They might be ecstatic with laughter. They might, think that that's triggered them in some way, or you can't please everyone. This is your project. So when you have an idea, I normally wake up early in the morning because I'm whatever. But that's when I just write things down and then I put it into music. And I literally done the same with the book. I just wrote it down. This is your book. And if people want to not read that page, don't read it then. Simple. And at the end of the day, like, know what you can't please everybody. And that's a hard lesson that I've had to learn is like I think as maybe writers or creators as a whole, whether that's acting, book writers, etc., 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 you're never gonna please everyone. I mean, I've heard stories of actors that are on programs on, in England, and literally, the actor, she was just on a train out with her friends. I can't remember her bloody name, but anyway, she was on a train with her friends. The program was on, and she was like the main star, and she'd killed one of the other actors in the program, and there was people that seen her, and they started hurling abuse at her. Like, I don't know if these people are drugs or they're drunk or whatever else, but she literally was scared. She was like,
Oh, wow.
I'm just an actor. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of them ones. Like, but people take this like in real, and we know how people can get like 2026 and whatever.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? So it's just getting to the point of you can't please everyone. So if you've got a project and you want to move forwards with it, just write it down. And also, lastly, I'd like to say, never take advice from people that have not done or trying to do what it is you're trying to do, because my biggest critics a lot of the time have been the ones that have never got a record deal, never been on radio, never like been rolling with celebs, never been on television, never got a book deal, never done this, never done. And what are they doing now? Literally, they're literally they're fucking buying my book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or they're like rating me for my music. So never ever take advice, because they can't give you any guidance. All they can give you is just their own thoughts. Your thoughts ain't going to be productive, and that's why it's important for me to, when I had the opportunity to be published by Ep03, Pro V, I already knew that the lady that owned it had 8 times, bestsellers. That's where I wanted to be. And her and I, obviously she offered me a very phenomenal amount of kind time, and we discussed everything and etc. And bang, now we're here, but I took the advice from those ladies, and I'm always speaking to my peers, the guys that were performing at the O2 the other day. I've never done a sold out show at the O2, so what? I'm going to listen to these guys. How am I going to get on there? Cool, bro, I'll take your advice. But to the guys that want to say to me, oh, well, I don't think this is right, I don't think this is right. Okay, cool, bro. In no disrespect, but what's your experience in this? Well, none. I've just read a couple of,
Yeah, I read a headline.
Fuck up, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, for music, like I write music too. Do you write the lyrics first or the music first? What's your step there?
It depends on the situation, realistically. So if I'm working with musicians, we very much kind of work together. So there might be, for example, when I was working with John Peppard, he's a Grammy nominated, songwriter, and he's worked with Garth Brooks, Michael McDonald, and the greats, It was very much like he would write sort of around what I'm writing. So I'd already written the track, and then he'd sort of build the instrumental around it in one instance. And then there was another track we done where it was like guitar, and then I'd write as he's doing guitar, etc. So it's very much like I don't have a real structure as such. It's very, sort of, again, just very honest and raw. It is dependent on who I'm working with, and we kind of just build it up as a collaboration, as any collaboration should be, realistically. Like both parties are happy, whether that's, sort of, when I was working with my band Hindrance, we would literally just break down everything and then just build it back up. But there isn't really any structure. To be honest, it's like my life. There's just no structure to it. It's very much like, let's just go for this and just see what comes out. There's no rules.
It's funny. I'm like the opposite. Like I had to come up with a system, or else I won't do it. But sometimes you do have to dive in. Okay, so I created a community. It's Writer Therapy. The idea is this. It's like I've always wanted to be interviewed about my writing, but like there's no reason to interview me. I've not even finished the book. You know what I'm saying? I'm revising it.
But you say that is silly. That's silly because you are a writer and you've got a lot to offer because you're already doing this. So there is a story there. There is a story about you. And that was the crazy thing. When I started my music, I was offered opportunities and I was said exactly the same. Why are they going to bother with
Yeah.
me. Like my first interview in the newspaper, I was like, why do they even want to bother? But there's a bigger story. Like you're already here, you're already doing it. There is a story. Like you say, you write music, you understand how to do it. There is your structure. There's a lot you can talk about, bro. Like, you know, and you
Yeah,
already
it's
set this
true.
up. You like, no, but I know it's true. Like, it's
Well,
real.
that's the point of this basically, is that there's people like us out there. You've had more experience in all this stuff. I'm kind of just beginning in writing. I haven't published a book. I haven't tried self-publishing or traditional. And I can imagine just how much we can all learn from it. I know I have things people can learn from me, and you've got tons of things you have to share. So that's sort of the
100%.
idea of the group, Writer Therapy on School. The idea is that it becomes a community of authors who take it seriously. What would you want to see out of a community like that?
I'd like to see positive comments rather than, and we've all seen it, you know, no one can lie. Like, you know, someone posts up on Facebook, for example, you know, just use this hypothetically, they'll post something, and then every single comment will be just completely, what are you doing? Why have you even messaged that? It's not helpful. It
Right.
might be a possible opportunity for some advice, you know. So I would like to see realistically, like, opportunity of positive movements, you know, and I'm not slagging anyone off, obviously, but keep away from the whole.
Yeah.
If you don't know, just
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
the out of the fucking conversation. Do you know what I'm saying? Or offer an opportunity. You know, I don't know this answer, but have you tried going down this route and speaking to, you know, if they're happy to be tagged or, you know, want to reach out? Or have you tried this opportunity of going onto the KDP helpline? Have you tried this opportunity of, you know, researching how to get onto Barnes and Noble, or, you know, how to upload your book, how to stop your, you know, cover getting into the bleed zone, for example, all this sort of good stuff, positive stuff.
You can learn more about today's guest in the description and show notes. If you're a writer looking for a focused, encouraging, and authentic creative community, join us at school.com/writertherapy. Whether you're outlining your first idea, deep into revisions, published, or somewhere in between, you are welcome here. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next session.